one of the number one things that I think most writers struggle with is feeling like an imposter. And I've seen this in the comments so many times. You guys have told me and my sister that you struggle with imposter syndrome or feeling underqualified, like you're not qualified to write the book that you want to write. Maybe it's a genre that feels intimidating to you, or maybe it's the entire writing process itself. Maybe you're newer to writing and you're showing up feeling underqualified to be able to tell the story you want to tell. I want to address that here in this video because this is a really important moment when you encounter this feeling inside of yourself. When you start to feel like you're not qualified to tell a story that you've been inspired to tell, that can be the moment where we either, it's like a fork in the road. We're either going to push past that feeling and do it anyway and see what happens, or we're going to talk ourselves out of it and we may never write that story. And for so many writers, they put it on the back burner. They say, oh, I'll come back when I know more. I will read a bunch of books about writing advice. I will go watch a bunch of videos. And then maybe at a future date, I will revisit this when I feel more qualified to tell my story. Now, while Abby and I are both, very supportive of getting writing advice, beta readers, watching videos. I mean, heck, we make videos about writing. So obviously that can be a good thing. That can help you. But the most important thing you can do for yourself as a storyteller of any kind is to just start writing. Just start writing. Don't make any more excuses. Just start. I don't care how underqualified you feel. Just do it. Just start the narrative. Let the narrative start flowing. There's a quote I've heard floating around for years now, which is you can't edit a blank page. You can't edit something that doesn't exist. So much of the writing process is editing, right? That's how we will correct things in the narrative as we go. So there's always time for those corrections to be made. You can write a story and then spend the next 10 years making it better if you really want to. But you won't be able to make something better that doesn't exist. So when you feel underqualified to tell a story that you've been inspired to tell, I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that the perfecting process, and there really is no perfection in art, so I don't even like to use those terms because it's so subjective. But make it exist. Make it exist, then worry about all that other stuff later. This is going to be an ongoing journey. I am working on manuscripts that I have been working on for years, okay? That when I started writing them, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing fully. How many writers do you think are writing stories, maybe even that are bestsellers now, that when they started out felt like they didn't know what they were doing at all? Probably a lot, more than you realize. More than you realize. And I want to address those of you, and there's a lot of you, who feel like you have just been given an idea. Okay? An idea has come to you out of nowhere to write a book. And a lot of you guys landing on this video or searching for writing stuff, it's because you maybe you've never written a book before, but you just had this idea and you're like, oh, I kind of feel inspired to write a book. I just want you to hold on to that feeling. I want you to capture that, really internalize that feeling of, I have to do this, okay? I have to do this. I have to write this book because it's just this sudden inspiration. I feel like I'm called to write it, okay? Just do it. Just do it. Run with that. Do not lose that feeling, because that feeling that you've been given something that is just welling up inside of you and you have to run with it or else it's going to be gone forever. Just run with that energy. Do not lose it. Don't hesitate. Don't look back. Just plunge into the experience and let it evolve as you go. There's time to fix things later. There's time to get technical later. There's going to be so much room for edits and so much room for transforming the narrative if need be. But that feeling that you have at the outset of insane inspiration that you just can't contain. You're thinking about this story all the time. It's playing in your head when you can't fall asleep. You are obsessed with this story. That you're not going to be able to replicate that later. It'll be very hard to bring that back later. That energy that you have in the beginning, it's there and it needs to be harnessed and worked with while you have it. And this is why, and I'll go into my writing process a little bit. When I get a story idea, like this past summer, it happened, and then the summer before it happened the same exact way. Both books were contemporaries. I got the idea for the contemporary and it hit like a freight train. I'm like, whoa, I see the whole thing. The narrative is just there. It's in my head almost instantaneously. I can see the whole structure. I know what I need to do and I'm so excited. All I can think, it's like falling in love. You can't think about anything other than this narrative going through your head, these characters, the dialogue, what's happening. And I literally dropped everything I could within reason and wrote that book from start to finish. Spent all my time writing that book. Literally set aside everything else so I could just harness that energy while it was there, because it sort of feels like something blowing in the wind. You see it coming toward you, and if you don't reach up and grab onto it, it's going to blow past you and you'll never be able to catch up to it again. Sometimes you have to just run with that. And I know for some of us, it's more of a pantser thing. I know plotters operate a little bit differently, but if you are one of those people that feels like, wow, okay, I just have this inspiration and if I don't do something, it's going to be gone, harness that and go for it. Harness that hardcore and go for it, because you can deal with everything else later. If you feel underqualified, I want you to remember this. Every single thing that we put a label on that, okay, you need this qualification to do X, Y, Z. There was always in history a first person who did that thing with no qualifications that set the benchmark for that thing. So really these qualifications and things that we grow to understand is like, oh, there's a person who is supposed to be doing that thing. That's really something we create in our own minds. That's really a restriction we put on ourselves. That's a construct that has evolved over time. And when we step back, okay, wow, we can actually lose all of those. We can lose all of those and we can just operate out of pure inspiration, pure alignment with your divine self, if you're comfortable with saying that, with your true creative self, because the base layer of who you are is this infinitely creative being. So if we can align with that and tap into that, guess what? That's a place, when we get into that place, when we tap into that energy, that's just pure power. And it has nothing to do with, oh, are you qualified? Oh, do you know enough? Oh, whatever. It's like those questions and demands and constructs and labels become irrelevant. They go out the window. So if you feel, writer, that you've been given a story to tell, that it's just bubbling up within you, you know it's there, you know it's meant for you to write, I invite you to empower yourself and write the story. Just write it. Just do it. Just do it. You'll be so happy you did. And there's no end to how much you can change and morph and further evolve the story as you go. But the most important thing is that when you have that idea, that you let yourself give life to it. Let yourself breathe life into that idea while it's there. Sometimes something will burn inside of you because that's its moment. It's meant to arrive now in this world through you, through the conduit of you and your creativity. So anyway, just a few thoughts I wanted to share with you guys. This is a big topic. Comment below and let me know, what do you think? What do you do to Bolster your own creative empowerment when you feel underqualified or not qualified enough to write your story. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoy messages like this and getting inspired as a creative, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you get notifications next time I upload, because I would absolutely love to have you here in this creative community. I wish you so much joy in your creative journey, my friend, and I will see you again soon.